Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And today we're going to be discussing the top 5 primary targets for the United States Senate in the 2022 midterms. We are going to be talking about this at length. Obviously, there are more than 5 senators, ideally, that I would like to see be primary today. In today's video, we're going to be focusing just on the top 5 that we need to get out of there. All of these are in safe, deep red states and can easily be primaried with actual America First candidates that are going to follow a more originalist Trumpian agenda that puts the American people first above special interests and above foreign nationals. And we are going to be discussing this. But I will say that first, I have to tell you guys about my friends over at My Patriot Supply. When you think about the future of our country and where we're exactly headed, do you wonder about the food supply? Because I do, especially under the Biden administration. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. The Red Cross recommends having at least 1 month's worth of food and water for everyone in your household, but make sure you get emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage so it's ready to eat whenever you need it. As all of you know, I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan, and you should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, especially now. So go to preparewithredeagle.com and get ready. That's preparewithredeagle.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now. So first and foremost, this is the map here of 2022. This is not a prediction map, so don't get it twisted. Obviously, states like Colorado could be, lean or likely. I'm not filling out the lean and likelies here for the red states and the blue states. I have the seats that are currently held by Republicans. That does not mean a seat like North Carolina won't be competitive. That does not mean a seat like Florida can't be competitive, even though I don't expect Florida to be competitive at all in 2022, but we'll see when we get there. But I do want to focus on the top 5 primary targets. Now, I'm sure that I'm going to get a lot of questions for why Pat Toomey is not on this list, why Rob Portman are not on this list, and why Richard Burr from North Carolina is not on this list. All 3 of them are retiring. Ron Johnson up in Wisconsin likely will retire too, as well as Chuck Grassley out of Iowa. In terms of Florida, even though Rubio kind of is, moderate and neocon at times, he's not on the primary list. He is not a priority. He is definitely somebody who is an establishment type of conservative, even though he will occasionally throw out some populist rhetoric here and there. It's mainly for show, but in terms of Florida, it's a sure thing that he'd win the election. I do think that we have higher priority things that we do have to focus on here, and I do have some honorable mentions I did want to discuss beforehand. Mike Lee out of Utah, he has been abysmal. He's probably would be number 6 on this list based off of how bad that he's been, but it's going to be very difficult and would take a lot of resources to attempt to unseat him in an unorthodox state like Utah, a state that mainly the convention has a lot of pull, more so than the primary even does. So it may be futile if you do try to unseat Mike Lee. Richard Shelby out of Alabama is definitely an honorable mention. He has been very weak. Jerry Moran in Kansas is definitely a candidate that ideally I'd want to unseat, but he's just well-liked in Kansas, and it would take a lot of resources to get him out of there. Tim Scott out of South Carolina. He has been extremely weak for a safe red state like South Carolina, but it's unlikely that he will really get unseated. In terms of Indiana, Todd Young, another potential candidate who can seriously be primaried that I'm not going to be talking about on this video. This video is going to focus on the top 5. I'm going to explain exactly why they should be primaried. And without further ado, let's get right into this. So first up is an obvious choice, Lisa Murkowski out of Alaska. Alaska is a state that is reliably Republican. It only voted Democrat once, and that was 1964 in LBJ's massive landslide win. So it's basically been a safe red state every single time Alaska has voted ever since entering the Union in 1959. Murkowski is pro-choice, an all-around weak candidate, a moderate on pretty much every issue. She voted present on Brett Kavanaugh, but only because a Republican senator could not make it, so she essentially voted for him. She would have voted against him. She has been historically in support of mass immigration, in support of amnesty, and she wrote a letter to the President, Trump, opposing the immigration moratorium during COVID. Now, Murkowski, the problem with her is, even though she is likely to be primaried out of there if Republicans decide to, let's say, go with Sarah Palin or anybody else, I think Palin would actually be a good choice, even though she's been a little bit of a controversial figure on the right. But I think that Palin would be a good choice to primary Murkowski. I think that she would win up in Alaska. Is the fact that Murkowski won on a write-in campaign the last time that she was successfully primaried out, which was in 2010. However, with party polarization, it's likely that a Democrat could run and split the vote that otherwise would have gone to Murkowski, otherwise cementing Palin as the front runner in the race. So I do believe Murkowski should be primaried, and I do believe that she has a better chance at losing re-election in 2022 than pretty much any other election. So that is primary target number one. Primary target number two is John Thune out of South Dakota. Now, the reason why I have Thune as number two is because he's in a state, if you look at this election, first of all, Alaska voted for Trump by just 10, but the state of South Dakota voted for Trump by 26 percentage points, as you can see here. John Thune is a candidate who has voted consistently to increase unnecessary worker visas. He voted to weaken interior immigration enforcement, has been a historic neocon in terms of foreign policy in the past, and he has constantly criticized the president. He's criticized Trump's movement. He's criticized the rhetoric. He abandoned him throughout the whole entire process. And for all of those reasons, John Thune, I believe, is a very weak candidate. It should be easy to primary him out in South Dakota. Now, the caveat to all of this is, besides Palin in Alaska, I don't really have a candidate for every one of these races. I think that we will find out sooner than later. I'll also do some videos in terms of what we should be looking for in candidates when we are voting in the 2022 midterms. I will talk about that as we get closer. But Thune is definitely somebody who should be primaried out of there. I believe that he successfully can be primaried. So that is it for South Dakota. That's number two. Number three comes from the most pro-Trump state on this list, the state of Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma voted for Trump by over 33 percentage points. Donald Trump almost got 2/3 of the vote in Oklahoma. However, James Lankford has been an extremely weak senator from a state that is as red as Oklahoma. Not only did he concede the election in early November, he also has been terrible on immigration and cultural issues. He's been terrible on visas. He's been terrible on immigration. He wanted to replace Columbus Day with Juneteenth as a federal holiday. And he also said that questioning the election results was racist. Now, when it comes to cultural issues, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a Democrat completely, a full-on leftist apologizing to black Oklahomans for his party, apparently contesting the election results in a fairly untransparently conducted election by anyone's terms. I don't even know how that's even relates to race whatsoever. It's completely abysmal on his part. Very, very weak senator. This guy should be easy to primary out in 2022, especially in a state that voted for Trump by over 33 percentage points. So that is it for Oklahoma. The next state up on this list is Idaho. Mike Crapo out of the state of Idaho. Now, Mike Crapo opposed the Trump immigration moratorium during COVID. He also wants more guest worker visas. He attacked the president relentlessly in 2016, didn't endorse him whatsoever, barely even voted for him to begin with. And this is a guy in a state that voted for Trump by 31 points, as you can see here. The state of Idaho voted for Trump 64-33. Also, Crapo is open to impeachment 2.0, and he's very weak for his state. This is a guy that probably secretly voted for Biden. He's a neoconservative through and through. He wants to go back to the false dichotomy. That's exactly where his brain is at, and it's been that way for the whole presidency. Obviously, he may have, voted with Trump 90% of the time just to avoid a possibility to lose a primary, but it doesn't matter anyways. And as for Langford or Crapo, if they do narrowly win their primaries, maybe then a third party could come up, because in those two states, a third party could be viable and would probably get most of the Trump vote in those states. So keep that in mind. Now, the last senator on this list is Senator Roy Blunt out of the state of Missouri. Roy Blunt serves a state that voted for Trump by 16 percentage points. Yet Roy Blunt has an F on immigration from Numbers USA. He has been a historic enthusiast of TPP, and he virtually conceded and congratulated Biden on November 6th. Did not really support Trump's legal team and legal initiatives as much as he probably should have for a state that voted for Trump by 16 points. These are 5 weak candidates. These are 5 establishmentarian candidates, and they should be primaried out of there. And I believe that they firmly can be primaried out of there. So you look at this, these are the top 5 primary targets: Alaska, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Idaho, and Missouri. Obviously, we could talk about a state like Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana. Any other states you guys have any suggestions for, please leave them in the description below. Obviously, for the House, I think we should have a lot more primary targets than just 5, because we have obviously 435 representatives, so there probably will be a good, several dozen of them in high-profile districts. It's going to be very interesting to look into. I already did a video on the impeachment 10, but that doesn't mean that the primaries are going to stop there. But we'll continue to monitor this moving forward. There will be videos, several videos throughout the rest of the year talking about senator primaries, and we'll be going into the governors and representatives and all that. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon, or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.